So Black Lively dropped her amended complaint at the midnight hour last night, and you are not going to believe how deranged it actually is.
So that's kind of the broad strokes of everything. Blake Lively sued Justin Baldoni. Justin Baldoni sued the New York Times.
While Team Blake Lively may think they have the upper hand, sources say she has no idea what's coming regarding her battle with Justin Baldoni.
Justin Baldoni's lawyers speak out after this late night Blake Lively amended complaint comes out.
The legal battle between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni has escalated dramatically, with new revelations exposing alleged inconsistencies in Blake's claims. As Baldwin's team counters with evidence and legal filings, the public is now questioning whether Blake lied in her lawsuit. What started as a workplace dispute has turned into a full-blown legal war, drawing in public figures, media outlets, and countless fans. With tensions rising, all eyes are on the case's next explosive developments.
What we were looking at was Blake Lively's points, like 15 points, that she wanted Baldoni to agree to in order for her to return to set. And each of those points implicated that potentially she had faced sexual harassment at the hands of Baldoni and others while on the set of It Ends With Us. And so Baldoni said that basically his back was against the wall. He had to accept those conditions, that he denied and still denies that there was any sexual harassment to back up the underlying allegations that's implicit in these conditions.
Baldwin's legal team has been relentless, unveiling timelines, witness statements, and previously unseen footage to challenge Blake's accusations. Meanwhile, Blake's attempts to control the narrative appear to be crumbling as shocking contradictions continue to surface. With the stakes higher than ever, this battle goes beyond legal claims. It's a fight for public trust, professional reputations, and potentially millions of dollars. As new revelations shake the case, questions arise. What's the real truth? Behind the headlines? How did Blake's story begin to unravel? Let's dive into the latest jaw-dropping developments.
In Baldoni's almost 200-page complaint against Lively and Reynolds, his lawyer writes, quote, "During the pre-production phase, Lively and Reynolds raised entirely false allegations of fat-shaming against Baldoni, an accusation that, as evidence will show, was categorically false. Baldoni had been introduced to trainer Dawn, who became Baldoni's personal trainer, by Lively. Dawn directed Baldoni's preparation for the film role, including his nutrition and exercise, making special accommodations for Baldoni's back injury. Baldoni even paid to receive Dawn's meal delivery service."
Blake's key accusation involved a lack of consent during certain filming scenes, but Baldwin's team countered with a detailed timeline of communications and production notes. Their evidence includes emails, signed agreements, and on-set footage, suggesting Blake had approved scenes she later claimed were problematic. Legal experts note that if this evidence holds up in court, it could severely damage Blake's credibility, shifting the case's momentum and raising serious doubts about the validity of her accusations.
So Black Lively dropped her amended complaint at the midnight hour last night, and you are not going to believe how deranged it actually is. Guys, I have been combing over the lawsuit, and there's just so much. It's so, honestly, it's written as badly as that rooftop scene, that her and Ryan Reynolds decided to take a stab at. Before I get into that, and because there's a lot to go through, and I may do some of it in subsequent videos because it's just too much. If you hear my dog, just ignore it. But Justin Baldoni's lawyer, Brian Friedman, has made a response to this amended lawsuit. So I want to get into that. But not only has he responded, but so has her attorney. So it says Justin Baldoni's lawyers slam Blake Lively's claim he made other women uncomfortable on set.
Beyond fighting the lawsuit in court, Baldwin's team is challenging Blake's media narrative, accusing her of a strategic PR campaign to sway public opinion. They claim she used selective leaks and sympathetic interviews to portray herself as a victim. This accusation gained traction as media outlets began exposing discrepancies between Blake's public statements and official court documents, raising further doubts about her version of events.
In direct response to the public lies Lively shamelessly presented in her complaint. The video directly contradicts Lively's depiction of Baldoni's behavior. The footage shows Lively and Baldoni in character, along with their bodies, simultaneously engaging in a personal conversation about their respective marriages, all while continuing to perform their roles as a couple deeply in love. So she made it seem as though he must not have been in character because he was talking in first person about his family while also kissing and noodling on me and grabbing my lips and all of that. But the truth was, even though they weren't going to use the audio, they had the audio because they were recording him, as they tend to do.
The most damaging blow came with new legal filings exposing contradictions in Blake's sworn statements. Baldwin's lawyers highlighted instances where her deposition conflicted with video evidence and third-party testimonies. In one case, Blake claimed she expressed discomfort during a specific scene, yet production logs show no complaint was filed at the time. These revelations have fueled intense debate over whether Blake deliberately misled the court or if her team is now scrambling to reshape their narrative under mounting pressure. The case's credibility is now under intense public scrutiny.
So that's kind of the broad strokes of everything. Blake Lively sued Justin Baldoni. Justin Baldoni sued the New York Times. The New York Times printed an article about it. I believe he also sued Samantha Jones. There's a whole bunch of different people being sued. We are only in a part of the second lawsuit. But as far as the update is concerned, Blake Lively has filed an amended complaint, and that broke 5 hours ago. We will just briefly use the People magazine article. Every single time I go to any news source.
In a surprising twist, Blake's team shifted focus to an alleged fixer working with Baldwin, accusing them of interfering with witnesses and undermining her claims behind the scenes. However, Baldwin's representatives dismissed these accusations as baseless and a desperate attempt to shift the narrative. This escalating back and forth underscores just how personal and complex the legal battle has become, with both sides fiercely defending their reputations and credibility.
Here's a question for all of the lawyers out there, or legal scholars. I am one of those. Perez Hilton here. And if somebody lies in their legal complaint, is that illegal? Because in his lawsuit against Taylor Swift's bestie and her husband Ryan Reynolds, Justin Baldoni alleges that Blake Lively boldly lied. Repeatedly. But we will talk about one instance that has many ripples and proof. Justin Baldoni seemingly has a lot of evidence to back up his claims. If you remember, one of the very first stories that came out of the whole It Ends With Us drama,
Blake's lawsuit initially gained strong public support, but as contradictory evidence emerges, that sympathy is fading. Social media users are voicing frustration over inconsistencies, accusing her of manipulating the narrative. PR experts note that once credibility is in doubt, recovering public trust is incredibly difficult, especially in high-profile cases like this, where every detail is scrutinized under intense public and legal scrutiny.
They also retained subcon contractors, including Mr. Wallace, who weaponized the digital army around the country, including New York and Los Angeles, to create, seed, manipulate, and advance disparaging content that appeared to be authentic on social media platforms and internet chat forums. The Baldoni Wayfarer team would then feed pieces of this manufactured content to unwitting reporters, making content go viral in order to influence public opinion. Now that is the subject of a lot of criticism that you see people getting in the comments. They'll come and be like, how much are you being paid by Justin and stuff like that. So, alright. Hey, Sheeps, how's it going? Hey, everybody. On information and belief, TAG engaged Mr. Wallace to assist them in their unlawful retaliatory social combat campaign on behalf of Wayfair and Mr. Baldoni.
Blake claimed multiple women felt uncomfortable working with Baldoni, but his legal team countered with statements from female crew members denying those allegations. Some even accused Blake of using their names without consent, calling her narrative misleading. This revelation has further damaged Blake's credibility, raising serious doubts about the integrity of her claims and fueling speculation that she may have exaggerated the situation for legal and public sympathy.
While Team Blake Lively may think they have the upper hand, sources say she has no idea what's coming regarding her battle with Justin Baldoni. Now, while Blake will label that as yet another threat of retaliation by Brian Friedman, I'd say he's just doing his job really well. And why are they being so aggressive? Beyond obviously wanting the truth out, what is causing it all? Could this actually be a cultural misunderstanding? That's what the Hollywood Reporter put out today in their cover story. And I gotta be honest, it's a very neutral and interesting piece. We gotta discuss. Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signor. If you guys haven't read today's Hollywood Reporter cover story, I urge you to check it out. Yeah, it's a little bit more pro-Blake than I think the reality is, but it is more neutral than most Hollywood trade pieces I've seen because Blake's been unable to provide anything realistic. She thinks she has it all, but sources are saying that no, she does not. There's so much more that Baldoni and Friedman have on Lively. They just gave a taste on the website. They're showing a little ankle, but not the whole leg, if you know what I mean. I'm sure she wouldn't approve of that reference. 2 seconds. The reason? Friedman is going to annihilate Lively on the stand during depositions. She thinks she knows what they have, everything that's on the website, so she can prepare for that, but she can't prepare for what she doesn't know they have. And again, they have a lot. According to the sources, they have troves more of stuff that has not been seen publicly, emails, text calls, videos.
Legal experts warn that Blake's alleged falsehoods could have serious consequences. While perjury charges in civil cases are rare, blatant contradictions may lead to financial penalties, reputational harm, or even countersuits from Baldoni seeking damages. If the court finds she deliberately misled the judge, Blake's legal troubles could escalate, further jeopardizing her credibility and future career opportunities.
Well, Justin Baldoni's lawyers speak out after this late night Blake Lively amended complaint comes out, and whoa, they got some things to say.
Yes, we're now rocking with that dude Pascal.
Yes, Blake Lively, if you've been living under a rock or living in a cave over the past 48 hours or so, Blake Lively did come out with a amended complaint. It came out very, very late at night, okay, but it still came out nonetheless. And a lot of people are scratching their heads going, okay, where's the proof? Where's the evidence? Where is the smoking gun, whatever you want to call it, proof that's going to bury Justin Baldoni?
Adding to the controversy, media personalities have compared Blake's situation to past celebrity scandals involving misleading claims. One commentator pointed out that public figures who double down on questionable allegations often face harsher backlash. These comparisons have only intensified speculation that Blake may be worsening her own predicament, further fueling doubts about her credibility and reinforcing the growing narrative that her case is unraveling.
That's a fair summation of it. So the book itself is about domestic violence, right? And so the original Baldoni idea was to take this to support folks who are actually dealing with these issues, right? The true victims who have been in these situations. Make this book, make this movie, bring on a star of incredible quality. They felt so lucky to be able to get a star of Blake Lively's, height and fame and voice to be a part of it.
I don't know. I saw The Shallows. I know she unzipped that wetsuit.
Right.
Remember that was one of those things, the wetsuit just thing. This is how I wear my wetsuit. I don't have time to zip it up to the top.
I mean, I feel like there was times where essentially when she was taking control of this movie, rewriting, doing all these things, and eventually did her own edit where she just pushed Baldoni out entirely.
Yeah.
Wait, you guys are getting paid? Yeah.
Yeah, that pedophile Baloo sketch is very uncomfortable.
A little bit.
Yeah, but we went in and they're like, well, you'll be straddling Baloo. I'm Baloo.
I said,
He said, no,
kidding me.
I was like, can you get to him at like a board? Because it's free. Like, he can just sit right next to me. He doesn't actually have to be sitting on Baloo.
Yeah, that's coming in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
I just want Bernie Sanders to be the intimacy coordinator for a remake of the piano penis playing.
Wait, what?
As the lawsuit intensifies, both sides face pressure to settle. However, insiders claim Baldon is determined to clear his name, making a courtroom showdown likely. If the case goes to trial, it could be disastrous for Blake, especially if her alleged lies are exposed before a jury, further damaging her credibility and public standing.
Really been targeted in similar campaigns. I've done both. I think that when you're targeted, I mean, especially when Tucker Carlson was coming after me and and again, people were running ads against me, doing all this crazy stuff. The media company I was working for at the time, which was the New York Times, would never let me respond. And this is part of why I left mainstream media, is because these media companies don't let you respond, and they sort of want to ignore it. And when you don't respond forcefully immediately, you create this vacuum that allows these bad narratives about you to thrive unchecked. And nobody thinks, wow, she's not responding, so that means it's not true. They think she's not responding, so that means it's true. One time, the Institute for Strategic Dialogue, a fantastic disinformation center, put together this massive report on actually the network sort of coordinated harassment campaign that I had been subject to. This was years ago. And they found it was paid for.
Blake Lively's legal battle with Justin Baldoni has reached a critical turning point as mounting evidence exposes contradictions in her claims, shifting public opinion against her. What began as a workplace dispute has spiraled into a full-blown legal war, with Baldoni's team relentlessly releasing documents and testimonies that suggest Blake may have misled both the media and the court. The growing discrepancies have turned this case into a cautionary tale about the risks of public litigation when the facts don't support the narrative. As Blake's team scrambles to control the fallout, Baldoni appears more determined than ever to clear his name, willing to fight for his reputation no matter the cost.
Blake Lively's new allegations against Justin Baldoni are missing one critical thing: cold hard proof. He did her wrong. At least that's how Justin's attorney is reading the documents. Brian Friedman, power attorney, tells TMZ, aka the 30-mile zone, he found Blake's amended lawsuit filed late Tuesday night underwhelming when it comes to any new facts or anything damning against his client. Yeah, Blake filed that lawsuit like she was in Cinderella, right? She had one heel off, she's running, who were uncomfortable with Justin's behavior. Reported that to an executive at Sony, which distributed the film. Blake says those two women, unnamed, are willing to share documents and testify in court. Well, why won't they even share the screen grabs with the redactions? Friedman doesn't seem the least bit worried, telling us, since documents do not lie, and people do, the upcoming depositions of those who initially supported Miss Lively's false claims and those who are witnesses to her own behavior will be enlightening. What is truly uncomfortable here is Miss Lively's lack of actual evidence. I'll tell you what, speaking of poker, Brian Friedman plays a hell of a hand.
The real question now isn't just who's telling the truth, it's whether Blake can recover from the growing perception of dishonesty. With millions at stake and reputations on the line, the final chapter of this legal battle promises to be explosive. As tensions rise, one thing is clear: this drama is far from over. Stay tuned.